Welcome to It's Your Choice. In today's episode titled, Are You Sure? We'll talk about gathering useful information and the role of uncertainty in our lives. And we'll look at how using numbers can improve our ability to communicate our degree of confidence in the information we use.
Would you put your phone away, Roger? We're on the air.
This thing is so lame. It's so slow, has no apps. You know what? I need a smartphone.
Did you start looking around for a new one yet?
Yeah, I went to the store yesterday and I was asking about the new Me phone. Pretty sure I'm going to buy it.
They're pretty expensive. Do the less expensive models have fewer features?
Well, I asked the guy and he said that the Me phone is expensive because, it's the best. He said it was much faster and didn't have any of the flaws that all the other models have.
How much faster? And what kind of flaws?
I don't know. He just said a lot of people complain about the cheaper models.
Did you check to see what people who own a cheaper model are saying?
Yeah, my friend Brian has the Raspberry, but he hates it.
Can one person's opinion be that reliable? Did you check out any customer reviews online?
No, the guy at the store said that the Me phone is the best, so I should buy it, right?
Did you even consider that the sales guy just wants to make a sale, and the best way was to convince you that the Me phone was better?
I guess he's not that reliable either. Maybe I'll check out some more information about the other models and some customer reviews before I buy the phone.
Good idea, Roger.
Okay, so I found some popular websites with lots of customer reviews. They say that the other models of the smartphones, like the Raspberry and the Freud, are just as good as the Me phone. They have the same text and camera features, blah, blah. Oh, but the Me phone has this cool harmonica app.
Whoa,
Yeah.
You were on the right track with the features information, but a harmonica app?
Well, you told me to consider information, and this is information.
Maybe I should be clearer. Look for relevant information. You want more features, but do you even play the harmonica?
No, but maybe I'll learn. I have thought about some apps like Sports Tracker and Angry Birds.
Can you get those apps on the cheaper phones?
Well, yeah.
And if you decide you do want a harmonica, you can buy one with all the money you'll save.
But why would I want a harmonica?
Oh, you're killing me, Roger.
I'm just kidding. I get that the harmonica app isn't relevant because it's not the kind of feature I'm really looking for. But this whole gathering information idea seems helpful.
It really is. But be careful because there are a lot of traps dealing with information.
Like what?
Well, remember when you used to believe in Santa?
Sure, it was awesome.
You were absolutely sure that he was real, weren't you? And then when you finally learned that Santa's pretend, it was a shock. You probably never thought to test your belief by asking how Santa could deliver to so many houses, or how such a jolly fat fellow could get down all those chimneys.
Hey, I was a little kid back then, and I figured it out.
Eventually. But we're often reluctant to question or test what we believe because we badly want something to be true, and we don't want to learn that it isn't.
Hey, that sounds like one of those decision traps you were warning me about.
It sure is, and it's called wishful thinking.
And it makes us more likely to continue believing something that isn't true longer than we otherwise would.
You got that right.
But suppose you do want to know the truth.
And then I guess you have to test your information.
But now that we're grown up, we don't make the same mistake of being absolutely sure of something without testing it.
You sure about that, Roger? Hey, what were you telling me yesterday about the Springfield Sharks baseball team?
Oh, they're on a roll. They pretty much locked up a playoff spot, and they're guaranteed to win the championship this year.
Guaranteed? If you're so sure, let's make a little bet on it. How about if they lose, then
Well, maybe there's a slight chance they'll lose.
Okay, so what kind of odds will you give me?
I don't want to bet you, even though I know they're going to win it all this year. Nicole, what's with you suddenly wanting to make bets? And why should I give you odds?
You're the one who knows they're going to win the championship. I'm detecting a little overconfidence. If you really know they'll win, then you should be willing to bet on it.
Okay, maybe I was being a little overconfident.
We studied the overconfidence trap in class, too. The professor said it's one of the most common traps. We all want to be right about what we believe, and that can lead us to being overconfident with what we know.
So what's the harm in that?
Well, you may not adequately test your information to make sure it's relevant or reliable. Or you may overestimate the likelihood of something happening because you want it to happen.
That sounds a bit like wishful thinking.
My professor said that many traps are related to each other, which makes them even trickier to deal with. Anyway, you think the Sharks may actually have a chance of losing, don't you?
I guess they might lose.
At least you realized it and didn't take the bet. Just thinking about putting something on the line, like your money or your dignity, is a really good way to test your confidence. The odds of a bet are really just a way of expressing how confident we are in something being true, or how likely we think something is to happen in the future.
So not just whether or not we're sure, but how sure.
Yeah, like with a lot of things we're uncertain. What helps is to try to figure out what our level of uncertainty is. These are very important concepts.
Since thinking about how probability seems really important, shouldn't we cover some of the basics of it now?
Okay.
So let's assume we have an ordinary quarter. When flipped, what would be the chance that the quarter lands on heads?
I'd say it had a 50% chance of coming up heads. And that's the same as 1 out of 2, or even money, right?
Yeah. So you can represent the probabilities in several ways, like fractions or percentages. So here's another example. Assuming an ordinary deck of cards was well shuffled, the chance of pulling a club randomly from the deck would be...
Well, there are 4 suits in a deck, so the chances are 1 out of 4, or 25%.
Yep, there you go.
But these probabilities are easy to estimate. It seems to me that some are harder.
Like the probability that the Sharks will win the championship?
Or even the probability of getting the lead role in the school play, or making the basketball team. I mean, I possibly could get the lead in the play, but these things are hard to attach an exact number to.
But even though it's hard to pick a number, we're talking about things that are uncertain in the first place. Wouldn't it be better if you described your confidence with a number instead of a word? Like if I said I might make the basketball team, you wouldn't know whether I meant around a 10% chance or around a 70% chance.
So true, Roger. How many times do we use words like maybe, might, or likely without knowing the exact range we're talking about? Whether it's your confidence in making the basketball team or getting the lead role in the school play, numbers make your confidence level much clearer.
Let's stay with this for a minute and use a real example. You're in the school theater group. I remember you said you were trying to get the lead in the next play in a few months. What's your confidence that you'll get the lead role?
Well, I've been working really hard for the role, but there are 2 other great actors in the group also wanting the role, so I'd say about 33% or about 1 in 3.
So that gives me a better idea of what chance you think you have. But what if things change?
Like a new piece of information?
Yeah. Like, what if you were featured in the Springfield newspaper as a hot, up-and-coming actress?
Well, before I answer, let's see if our audience can give us an idea. Below, we've listed some new pieces of information. Treat each piece of information separately so that you're changing my confidence level from the original 33%.
So, what are your answers, Nicole?
Well, if I was publicly recognized like that, then I'd say my chances increased to 75%, since it'd make me look like the best candidate for the role.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, what if you got really busy with grad school applications and skipped practice for a few weeks?
Well, then my confidence would decrease to 20%, since I'd practice less and not be as prepared for auditions.
And what about one of your competitors transferring?
Well, with one major competitor gone and only 2 of us left, I'd say just about 50-50.
Now, what about the black cat?
Good trick, Roger, but I'm not buying that as a relevant piece of information, so 33% stays.
Nice catch. Now, what if you get a cold?
Well, since I'll have to sound my best to get the role, a cold would really hurt me. I wouldn't be able to focus or sound right, so I'm less confident. I'd say around 10%.
And the most likely to happen, what if we go to prime time on national TV?
Ha! Well, then I wouldn't have any time to devote to school theater, so almost no chance at all.
Viewers, how did you match up?
Today we discussed that information has a degree of uncertainty, and it makes sense to be prepared to test things, even those that we might consider facts. We need to remember to watch out for traps like wishful thinking and overconfidence. when we are evaluating the reliability of information. It's also important to focus on information that's relevant to you when making the decision. And while we often use words to describe our confidence for the probability of things, numbers are more specific and can give us a clearer understanding of what we mean.
Now, we saw that using numbers makes communicating your level of confidence easier, but estimating probabilities seems difficult for things like getting the lead role. I'm wondering about a few things.
Such as?
Well, how accurate can you be with your original 33% estimate? And how can you actually know what number to spit out, even if it's just an estimate?
These are very real challenges you're pointing out. Probability estimates, like so many things in decision-making, are subjective. But we're out of time today, so we'll have to cover those things in a later episode. See you next time on
It's Your Choice.